So no sooner has Bryan Mbeumo arrived than Marcus Rashford has departed for Barcelona as Manchester United turn their attention stateside. We're covering all, alongside the prospects of Ollie Watkins, Senne Lammens, your questions, and much, much more. It's all coming up on your Theatre of Red. It is a new week, and with such, an array of talking points has inevitably surfaced. Everything from the official arrival of potentially game-changing attackers to the departure of one-time academy stars and pursuit of further talent. All the while, Ruben Amorim and his team are indeed stateside for pre-season activities, while several high-profile names are far from the camp. I hope you are doing well today and still smiling following the official confirmation of Bryan Mbeumo as a Red and the possibilities that he can offer a disgruntled attack. The man has already been through the introductory machine here, there and everywhere, and is enjoying the integration into a first team of underperforming talent of which he is extremely eager to play alongside, may I add, despite initial suggestion that he would not feature in our American opener. It appears that he has every chance of earning some minutes in New Jersey alongside fellow rivals Matheus Cunha and Diego Leon. I emphasize this because I feel it is important given the state of social play that we see on a daily basis. Despite these arrivals, two of which are undeniably transformative to this team, many still choose to rigorously turn that wheel of notoriety and endlessly focus on what is not in front of them. It's boring, it's jaded, and in my very humble opinion, it's nothing more than the transparent efforts of a group of individuals who are vying for social traction while pretending to care about this football club. You can say I'm wrong, you can say I'm being unfair, but it's just so tiresome to see this on a daily basis, and it's anti-productive to a fan base that already has enough problems to be dealing with. I feel that it's worth noting that many of these people spent their days bemoaning what they perceived as a poor negotiation strategy for Manchester United. As we now know, it was Brentford who prolonged the discussion and even attempted to alter the players' thought process along the way. Say what you will about it all, but achieving a 4-installment payment plan is absolutely brilliant for this football club in the position that it is in right now. Personally, I am delighted that we have acquired two attacking players of such talent, ability, and eagerness to wear the shirt. That's what really stands out in all of this, with both only gazing at the entrance of the peak of their powers. And when you factor that into a now obvious individual fitness plan for the existing squad members, the sum of all that we see equates to a visibly leaner and a far more athletic-looking bunch of players who are chomping at the bit to right the wrongs of last season. Obviously, that's going to begin against West Ham in the coming days, and we will touch on that shortly. But before I touch on anything else, I feel that it's imperative to recognise the departure of Marcus Rashford to Barcelona, sealing the end of his perennial attempts in England and what is now the dawn of his dream Spanish move to play underneath a manager who is a huge admirer in Hansi Flick, while also along the plethora of attacking talent, which includes the Ballon d'Or chasing Rafinha, the legendary Robert Lewandowski, and the now 18-year-old sensation that is Lamine Yamal. Naturally, this is a colossal move for Rashford, and it's one that has been a year in the making, as readers of the Theatre of Red will know too well. Working alongside Albert Fernandez from goal, we exclusively revealed that the Winshaw man was added to a list of potential targets during a sports meeting in Barcelona in August 2024. And from there, this is a story that we continue to break ground on throughout the course of his remaining days in Manchester, all the way through his loan spell at Aston Villa, thanks in large part to the work of Pini Zahavi and Arturo Canales. The one-time Manchester hero has now sealed his season-long loan that includes an option for Barcelona to purchase him at the end of next season for a fee of what we are told is in the region of about 30 million euros. Notably in all of this, he has taken a significant pay cut, and that allows the Spanish side to cover the entirety of his wages, which will save United over £15 million in his salary throughout the upcoming campaign. Now, when you consider the attempts to balance the books, to fend off PSR, and also look to work a transfer market efficiently, this is a deal that ultimately benefits all parties in the immediate term. Barcelona get this versatile attacker who can play either wing and also can play up front. And notably, should they decline their option to purchase at the end of the season, United will be due a Sancho-like penalty payment in the region of 4 to 5 million euros. It goes without saying, I know a permanent sale would be the optimum result for all listeners here. But given the nature of issues and the rather public financial strain that the club is under, I don't think that too many people should be overly angry about what has occurred here, despite how things have gone for Rashford. It is imperative that you remember this is a player with over 400 appearances for the club, and he's also notched 138 goals and 77 assists. He's had his faults, but he has supplied some truly memorable moments along the way in claiming 2 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, and of course a Europa League title in 2017. So, contrary to the viewpoint of some, we at the Theatre of Red wish the man all the best. And from a United perspective, this is where it makes sense. Let's hope that he impresses enough to make the deal permanent so that the club can utilise his funds elsewhere. But that leads me to an interesting question that was sent in from Barry Nell. I believe that's how it's pronounced. He says, Ruben Amorim, presumably with the backing of the United hierarchy, announced to the world that 5 senior players no longer had a future at the club. In a normal business environment, which Sir Jim is aiming for, when selling an asset, you talk it up. You do not advertise that it's no longer an asset or required. Surely the hierarchy have told Amorim to think before he speaks, as this has cost us valuable millions. And that is from Barry, who is a very, very long-term supporter and a septuagenarian from Dorset. So firstly, thank you for taking the time, sir. It is my pleasure to have you on board as a listener and a contributor, and that is a brilliant first question for the show. I agree that in general terms, it's not the most logical standpoint to publicly belittle a product that you're attempting to offload for its maximum value. That goes without saying. Now, I've been lucky enough to spend months covering Sporting while he was the head coach there. I spent time close to key supporters, to fan clubs, supporter channels, and I also spoke with employees at the club. One of the most consistent points that surfaced was Amorim's public speaking, his passion, and the evident fact that he wears his heart on his sleeve. It was also pointed out that this got him in trouble from time to time, because I think it's now evident to all that he almost lacks the necessary filter between brain and mouth during these press conferences at times. Truthfully, I think he'd be the first to admit this. However, when you look at the 5 players in Rashford, Sancho, Garnacho, Anthony and Malacia, many of them didn't help themselves and also provoked the situation. And I think that's something that we need to take into consideration here. We had Rashford with his Henry Winter interview. We had everything that Amorim inherited from Eric Ten Hag and Jadon Sancho's scenario. And then you look at Garnacho, and for me, this is the definition of a petulant child who has surrounded himself with the worst type of people who will endlessly tell him that he's correct and tell him everything that he wants to hear. His social antics are deplorable, and the well-documented actions of his brother on social media have left little to the imagination. Now, bear in mind, I don't say this as a pardon for Amorim, because he hasn't aided the situation with his public honesty, but I do feel that there are mitigating factors between all 5. And while Anthony and Malacia have not caused issues per se, the other trio haven't necessarily handled their affairs in the most professional of manners, particularly Sancho and Garnacho. Inevitably, who's right or wrong doesn't change the fact that it provides a spanner in negotiation for sales. And that's the point you're making here. And that is something that the manager will need to shoulder the burden of. Maybe you can view this as a learning example for future players and how not to act in moving forward. But I do believe it also represents the final line of that toxic culture that Ineos are attempting to remove from the football club, regardless of who is right or wrong. I just look forward to the day when we don't have to discuss these players, their actions, or this nonsensical topic or agenda anymore. And I want to move from there, and I want to focus our attention on a very interesting player who is beginning to catch the attention of many. That is the young Belgian goalkeeper, Senne Lammens. Now, at 23, Lammens has grown from strength to strength while playing in the Belgian Pro League for Royal Antwerp, and United officials monitored his progress all throughout the previous campaign. As we know, Ruben Amorim is in the market for a young goalkeeper, and the idea with that is that it's an individual who can provide competition and grow into the future shot stopper at Old Trafford. The Belgian has done himself no harm with a standout season and an array of highly promising attributes, which suggests that we're looking at a player who is probably on the periphery of a major move in the coming year or two, regardless of Manchester United's interest. As I stated across various social media channels today, our sources advise that he is eager for a move to Manchester, and officials there regard him as the perfect goalkeeping acquisition that meets the criteria that Ineos have established. There is also a significant hope for a deal given his relatively low valuation and this desire that he has to make the move to Old Trafford, which is well known. However, on the line where people are asking why there is a hold-up, considering this from what I'm advised, multiple discussions have taken place regarding various positions that are required and what type of goalkeeper that the club should target. And that has given Emi Martinez's apparent willingness. It's worth noting that Andre Onana is not as dismissed internally as he is across social platforms. And although that there is interest in a Martinez because of his obvious caliber, a youthful option has always been the goal, as is the case for every player. Funds will always be the focal point. And where in the line of agreed importance a young goalkeeper stands, I can confirm today that a renewed thought process regarding this player exists. And that moves towards the possibility of potentially missing out now and returning to look at a deal in the region of anywhere from 50 to 60 million pounds in 12 to 16 months. Allow me to clarify something regarding his ability, though. Some are concerned about the level of opposition that he faces. For me, a goalkeeper is required to keep the ball out of the net. Yes, distribution matters, and this is something that I've battered on about for quite some time, particularly when we were looking towards Onana. But a goalkeeper's primary goal is to keep the ball out of the back of the net. Whether it's Sunday League, the Belgian Pro League, or the Premier League, I believe that a keeper is not in the same consideration for debate as defenders, midfielders, or attackers. Quite simply because every Tom, Dick, and Harry can hit the perfect strike at any time on any field on the planet. But I do believe that not every goalkeeper has the ability and the prowess to get a hand to that particular strike. Let's elaborate on this, because Lammens achieved a save percentage of 81.3% across the entire domestic league last season, and that ranked in the 98th percentile. 81.3%, people. I'm sorry, but if you play your football in Timbuktu, that is a phenomenal return, regardless of who's taking the shots. And furthermore, he ranked in the top 98 percentile for crosses stopped. And what this does is it highlights his control of the area and emphasizes the confidence that he appears to exude, that his ability is there to shine in the toughest domestic league on the planet. As well as this, he averaged 4.34 saves per 90 minutes and was responsible for stopping over 11% of the crosses. The boy is 23, people, and he's already viewed as the long-term successor to Thibaut Courtois for Belgium. I can tell you now, although nothing is guaranteed in this wonderful game that we play and watch, the Theatre of Red is advised that a deal for the player could surface very quickly, pending outgoings and the development of several youngsters amongst first team participation to be able to provide squad depth and competition in places. From what I am told is that if a deal does surface, it would be completed with relative ease. It's been so long. Allow me to stop for a very brief moment and let you know all about an amazing destination that has been created by a very close buddy of mine and his colleagues. And before I go on, there is nothing financial in this for me whatsoever. I just feel that they deserve all of the attention that they can get. If you have ever felt like you're stuck in a loop of work or phone scrolling or the same old nights out, this may just be the option for you. The lads at Heron Sauna have brought heat, cold and a bit of Irish crack to the banks of the Barrow in the stunning surroundings of St Mullins in County Carlow. Trust me, you have to see it to appreciate it. But this is an outdoor wood-fired sauna experience surrounded by nature, right on the water with cold plunges that'll wake your soul up quicker than a goal in extra time. See what I did there, boys? Now, it's not just about sweating, it's about slowing down, reconnecting, and feeling human once more. So, whether you're into recovery, relaxation, or just a bit of a reset, the boys have got you covered. You can book your spot now at heronsauna.com and discover what your weekends have been missing. Remember, I'll pop all of the info in the podcast bio, and I promise you, regardless of where you live, this is worth the trip. If you have not checked the guys out already, then I cannot stress the importance of doing so enough. You get there, you see it with your own eyes. If you have the capability of doing so, I promise you, you will not regret it. Now, moving on, Mr. Simon Scott has got in touch via email through editor at theatre-of-red.com. And he asks, given the potential availability of Alexander Isak and United's need for a killer in front of goal, do you think there is any possibility of a deal to be done? Make no mistake, Scott. Despite the allure that Manchester United clearly retains, and we see that with Cunha and Mbeumo, Isak wants to play Champions League football right now. And not disregarding the obvious financial issues and how a deal would be nearly impossible to make given the damage the club has been handed throughout the past 2 decades. I've not been told anything as of today that would suggest that the club is trying to make a move for the player. Obviously, football is a crazy game and the world of football is continuously unknown. Anything can change throughout the night, but this would be one that I struggle to see any form of positivity in, I'm afraid. I know for many it hurts when a player of this caliber is seemingly available because the Manchester United of 20 years ago would move for him in a heartbeat. Even though he's 5 years, 6 years the younger, it gives off those Robin van Persie vibes. However, as much as I long for a return of that day, Isak will have options across the top 2 or 3 sides in every elite division from Paris to Barcelona and Madrid, Bayern, and his pick of the Premier League. I'll never backtrack though on what I say about the allure of being the frontman to lead United back to the glory days, but this is a player who can put his finger on a map and choose where he wants to play. Call a spade a spade. Furthermore, you're looking at the definition of a striker who can command anywhere between 100 to 150 million pounds. And then you factor in signing fees, agent fees, transfer levies. It's all going to end up beyond comprehension for a side that is struggling so much financially. Naturally, I would love the club to be United that he picks. And truthfully, it should be United that he picks. Without rambling too long about the harm that we already know, I just can't see a world where we rejoice in that particular deal, Scott. Keeping to the striker topic that remains a hot topic amongst the fan base, the brilliant United exclusive page on Twitter have asked about the possibility of Ollie Watkins. This is obviously very much at the fore given the amount of publicity that it's received. And unlike Isak, there is a genuine interest here from both player and club side. United value the forward given his perennial success and his experience in the Premier League, matching what we see with Mbeumo and Cunha. And like anything, there is always that chance in football that I'd mentioned. Any deal can manifest quickly. However, from what we know, Villa do not want to sell the player, and even if he asks for a suitable offer to be accepted, similar to Mbeumo, given his age and the desire to represent a club with the star and the appeal of United is not going to come around too often, I can't help but feel that a long drawn-out transfer story would inevitably ensue. People must remember that despite charts documenting how far the club is from breaching PSR, that does not take in cash flow, or even the £195 million to be shelled out this year on payments for previously purchased players. On top of that, deals between Premier League clubs ensure there is a transfer levy in the region of around 4%. And as I said, that doesn't even include fees, sign-on bonuses, which all adds up towards annual payments and cost towards players. Of course, United would love to have Watkins in their squad, but the lack of available funds is continuously ignored here, and the major incentive is to offload the aforementioned 4 players to A, generate a transfer fee to recoup owed fees, and B, offload their salary, which will ultimately extend the amount of flexibility that a club has in the market. As I have said multiple times on this podcast, the goal for a striker was Liam Delap because he could have been obtained for £30 million. And this represented a perfect deal for an Ineos hierarchy that is eager to recruit talent and benefit down the line. When he went to Chelsea, the priorities shifted. And as I said before, our 2 big attacking recruits are already here and they are stateside. Now, I'm not the be-all and the end-all of transfer stories in football, so anything could happen, but I would be very surprised. And that would also be pleasantly surprised, mind, if a deal surfaced. Even though some people don't like hearing this, you have to remember, Rasmus Højlund has talents that many people refuse to remember, and he wants to stay. There is a book value that requires a sale in the region of £40 million to recoup a loan, and that also ties the hands of the football club. We are told now, as we were previously, that while it has always been a possibility he could leave, he has never once thrown the rattle out of the pram in all of this, and he has worked his backside off for the management team. That is well documented internally, and there is a growing belief that he may come good, as he did in the opening season, and that will naturally lie on the assistance of Mbeumo and Cunha. Not forgetting the reason that we're all discussing this great club, and that is the football. Manchester United face a familiar face in West Ham at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey at 7 p.m. local time on Saturday evening. Now, for those who are in a similar part of the world as me, that'll start at midnight, so bright and early in the unstable hours of Sunday morning. Depending on how adventurous you plan to make your Saturday, this may be an interesting watch for football-hungry Reds. Obviously, the outing kicks off the US portion of our tour following a scoreless draw against Leeds in Stockholm last Saturday, and it is the first of 3 Premier League Summer Series outings. Interestingly, despite the Hammers' troubles last season, obviously they suffered a 14th place finish, they delivered a defeat in Erik ten Hag's final game in charge, and then they repeated defeat against Amram in May. Although the results of these summer fixtures won't have much bearing on the upcoming campaign, I am a big fan of playing as many Premier League sides as possible because despite the obvious lack of intensity, there will be an undeniable sense of physicality that we just wouldn't gather from continental sides. We can take whatever bit of confidence is available then into a crucial domestic calendar. And naturally, with Mbeumo signed, sealed and delivered, he has been getting to know his team and the setup and will be eager to game some minutes, as will the fans who make the trip on the day. It's going to be interesting to see if and when he's going to feature and how he's going to respond for the first time lining out in that shirt. Stephen Smith got in touch ahead of the All-English outing. And similarly to last week, he wants to know my prediction for the starting 11. Well, I didn't do great in my first attempt, so God only knows how many I'm going to get wrong this time, but I will give it a go. Let's say by enduring goals, a back 3 of Yarrow, De Ligt and Shaw, with Dorgo and Ahmad as the wing-backs, Bruno and Manuel Ugarte sitting behind Cunha and Mount, with Højlund to lead the line. Given that we have 4 fixtures now until the Premier League opener against Arsenal on August 17th, I know from speaking to people on the ground that Amram is eager to generate as close to a stable starting 11 as possible, with the fundamental aim of harnessing morale within the group throughout the next 3.5 weeks or so. Kyle Hayes got in touch on Blue Sky, and he asked if you could guarantee one positive thing from pre-season. What would you most like to see from our upcoming performances, and what, if anything, would this indicate about the team's trajectory? You see, it's a very good question because contrary to the attempts of the same old few trying to disregard any form of positivity this summer, a fully fit and firing Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo can supply a massive boost to this team against any side. All Amram wants, just as I want, is a unified dressing room with every available player ready to die for the man standing beside them. We see it with the likes of Lisandro Martinez. We saw it with Andre Onana, both of those joining the squad going over stateside. We know Martinez won't be available. It's possible Onana might feature toward the latter end. But having them there amongst the group, it builds camaraderie. It builds a sense of team and a sense of partnership amongst a very wounded squad. The message that I'm receiving is one of a positive mentality at camp, with the players eager to atone for what is obviously the worst campaign in the Premier League era. Despite the activity of other sides, which we cannot control, there is a belief within the group, and many feel they have far more to show in a United shirt, and the upcoming challenge will be their true Manchester debut. As we know, Kyle, and everybody else listening, actions speak louder than words. And a wounded fan base needs to see something that can help them grasp onto the hopes for an upturn in form, performances and results under Ruben Amorim. So for me, what I really want to see from the remaining 4 fixtures before Arsenal arrive at Old Trafford, a squad of players that believe in what the manager is sending out there. I want to see unity from the touchline to the pitch, and I want to see every single one of those players giving it everything. For every single supporter who makes the trip stateside, for every single supporter that is giving their life and their breath to this football team on a daily basis. And when Arsenal arrive, that they arrive to an Old Trafford, a 12th man in the crowd screaming the football team on, and that every single player, whether they start or whether they come on with 10 to 15 minutes to play, are giving everything that they have for this football club. And if we do that, there's enough talent within this squad that I think we can surprise an awful lot of people. So, as I always say, thank you for giving me a little bit of your time this week. I hope I made it worthwhile. And be sure to like and subscribe wherever you are tuning in from today. Drop us a message on any of the socials at theatre_of_red, and keep up to date with all of the work at the official Theatre of Red website. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. If I can ask you one quick favour, would you mind giving me 10 more seconds of your time? And please just leave a review on whatever platform you're on right now. I know if you're listening on Spotify, for example, it literally takes 5 seconds. Each one helps to boost the visibility of the show and to grow this Theatre of Red community. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy the football on Saturday night or Sunday, wherever you are listening from. And I look forward to speaking with you all next week.